It's the end. Well, getting near the end of a week, not quite the end of a week yet, and well, it's been a very eventful week, and it's one where there's an awful lot of anticipation for Christmas, the New Year, both from the point of view of the celebrations and also just exactly what kind of year is it going to be. 2022 was kind of a surprise year in many ways. I suspect that 23 is going to be that way also. But let's see if we can focus on what's going on right at this very, very moment. I mean, the reality is that we have an economy that's in bad shape. It's oh my. Just right.
So thanks for joining us. America's Mayor Live on a very busy evening.
And we'll get this going in just 1 second.
We are on.
You can see everything moving up and down and moving around and doing all the things that.
Yeah. I would keep it.
We got to make sure this gets started here. Thought we should first cover the whole situation involving what's going on with the January 6th committee, because it is coming to an end, and it's coming to an end very, very abruptly. The January 6th committee is made up of people who have a very, very difficult time telling the truth. And it's really a shame that the people selected for that committee have what I would call kind of a red mark against them already. And the red mark is a red mark for having lied in prior situations. And I don't understand how it is that anyone could trust them. They were involved in the whole Russian collusion situation, which is about as big a lie as we've had in the United States. And we've also seen them do the same thing with Ukrainian involvement and conversations with the president of the Ukraine, in which they're described as a quid pro quo, and there was no such thing as a quid pro quo. So it's very, very hard to find that what they're saying is valuable and important. I just want to make sure, Ted, that the sound is working correctly.
It is, yes, Mayor.
Because the machines are not reflecting that. These machines are not reflecting that for some reason.
Yes, we are on as we speak. I'm listening to it live, Mayor.
You're listening to it live,
yeah.
And now it's moving along.
Yes.
Although it's not recording.
It's not recording, but it is. However it's going through here, it is going, and we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Well, then I'll keep going, and if you can hear me loud and clear, I guess.
Yep, I had some friends just tune in, and they're letting us know that sound is on.
So where are they tuning in from?
Well, I have a friend right now that just tuned in, that just texted us from Florida, and I guess he's watching and seeing us go back and forth, and he's just reassuring us that the sound is good.
We are being heard, right?
We are being heard.
Well, in my city, we have a governor and a mayor who see eye to eye, and that's rare. The governor and the mayor usually have problems, and maybe it's better if they do, because both of them don't seem to think that the crime problem really is all that serious. They believe it's been exaggerated by the media, which of course is totally on their side and would hardly exaggerate it to hurt them. Exaggerated by the Republicans, created by the Republicans, and the mere fact that we got 100% increase in murder 2 years ago and 50% last year really is a figment of our imagination. And the people being beaten up in Central Park every day is a figment of our imagination. And the people who have to have the parents come here and take their dead bodies home are a figment of our imagination. And they both seem to have the same approach. One seems to be more ignorant than the other and drags the other one down. There doesn't seem to be any leadership quality with either one of them. Here's a survey that just came out. How serious a problem do you think crime is across the state of New York? 59% very serious, 31% somewhat serious. Did Governor Hochul make communities safer from crime? Did not 58, did 22. Did Governor Hochul make the state a place where people want to live, not leave? 55% did not. 25% did. So she's off to a terrible start. Very, very, very similar to the start that Mayor Adams got off to when he promised to reduce crime, and crime went up 30%. Let's face it, neither one of them really seems to know how to walk across the street from City Hall to the local delicatessen. I doubt they ever go to delicatessen. But in any event, they really do seem to be completely lost. And Hochul's been around a while in a way because she was the fill-in for Cuomo, and Adams has been around for a year now. It's nothing to laugh about because the people of my city suffer from the fact that they have no leadership, no guidance, and they've got people calling the shots for them because it's not really their own thinking and their own ideas that are producing this. The Twitter scandal is calmed down a little bit toward the end of the week, but it's still amazing to contemplate the amount of censorship accomplished by Twitter, which basically didn't shut down the Trump campaign, but when you look at the way in which they handled it with the censorship back in 2020, virtually shut down the Trump campaign and certainly shut down the ability of the public writ large to find out about the significant day-to-day corruption of Lyndon, of Joe Biden, rather. I'm thinking of Lyndon Johnson. My goodness, that goes way, way back. Way back, really, to some of the corruption and the roots of it in the Democrat Party. Lyndon Johnson, after all, was Joe Biden's boss, and I can't imagine that he wasn't a bit of a role model for Joe. And Lyndon Johnson had the reputation of basically taking anything that wasn't nailed down. You know, he'd be sitting there like this.
So what you're doing?
Let me see what I can do here. Check that over here.
Wait. You're not joking.
I'm not joking. Lyndon was a thief. Yeah.
LBJ was
a thief.
Can you talk about? Are you familiar, Mayor?
Wife died with all kinds of television stations and radio stations. Did you ever know Lyndon to be particularly good on television? The guy was challenged to. My name is. There was a joke about Lyndon. He was so bad with giving speeches that they'd have to write out everything for him. They could have used a teleprompter, but I guess they didn't think about it. But they'd write out everything for him. You know, if he had to greet somebody at the White House, hi, my name is Lyndon Johnson. Welcome to the White House. So one day they wanted to really get him and wake him up and see if they get him to do some things on his own. So he's meeting a group of Boy Scouts, and he comes out and he says, "Good afternoon to the Boy Scouts. It's good to be here with the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts are scouts that are boys. Lyndon, you're on your own."
You know, they do that for President Biden. They have to write everything out, and sometimes we catch it, and it's literally the point where they're telling him when to take a break.
Yeah. Time to take a break.
Time to look.
Tell the reporter to shut up.
Say the line.
Make sure you don't give that guy from Fox more than one question, because he's going to bury you if he gets two. That kind of stuff. I wonder if they call him names behind his back, like nitwit and dummy, and he's been called dummy a lot in his life. I think that's what causes. I think that's what causes the complex. I think the guy's been left back since he's in the third grade.
Do you think he runs in 2024?
No.
You right now, I'm just saying he's not going to be.
I don't see how.
So is Kamala Harris? Does she walk in and be the nominee, or will the Democrat Party?
Not necessarily. We would like that, I think. Inexperienced.
You're saying we would like that, as in the Republican Party would like to see it to go up against Kamala Harris.
You always want an intellectually inferior person to run. Someone who.
She does. Yeah, that's something that people have noticed. She likes to laugh in moments where not everybody would be laughing.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful to be here at the South Mayfield College commencement address for the class of 19.
Yeah. That's her last.
You should make sure that you are grateful for all of the things that the
yeah. So we would want Kamala. Does anybody? All right, and maybe we don't want to give this away, Mayor. We don't want to give away give this all away. It's upstairs here. But as a Republican, a card-carrying member of the Republican Party, is there somebody on the other side that you would think, okay, that person, if that person runs, then whether it's President Trump or, our person's going to have to be on their A game to beat that person. Who on the Democrat Party? You're not scared of anything, so I'm not going to use that word. But who on the Democrat Party concerns you?
Let's see. When the Democratic Party puts them up,
if anyone, if you were a Democrat, who would you be telling them to put up again?
Well, here would be a good sign. A Democrat who puts America first, so that, for example, when the squad issues these terrible condemnations of America, they stand up to them. So who is that Democrat? Could you give me a few days?
Yeah, let's revisit this.
Of research, because none comes to mind. An awful lot come to mind who hem and haw, and then some who agree, and seem to turn their back on this country, like when they bowed for Black Lives Matter, which, after all, is an organization that specializes in the slaughter of innocent people, particularly police officers. So
let's ask our comment section across social media. Comment below. If you were advising the Democrats, who would you advise them to push forward to be the nominee for president in 2024? Let us know. And look, for those of you who are saying, why would you ask me such a question? If you happen to be a Republican, oftentimes, it can be a good exercise to try and put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If I were them, what would I be? I mean, you're a very well-known trial attorney, right? I'm sure that's something a key part of the practice leading up to a trial.
Yes, of course. But the reality is that I can't really think of any that would be a very, very tough candidate.
Gavin Newsom.
Oh, I think Gavin Newsom would have a hard time laughing his way out of California and not being laughed at. He's laughed at by a small minority in California. When he gets outside of California, I think he's considered one of the worst governors in America. When you look at his economic record, I mean, and you look at the record on crime, and governors like Hochul and you look at a governor like your governor Whitmer.
They're floating her as a potential.
You look at a mayor like Lightfoot. My goodness, I mean, these people are watching crime increase by shocking numbers. Right now, I am looking at on television the most disgusting, decrepit liar in the United States Congress. Who is that? Who's the biggest, most disgusting, very difficult to look at congressman? And do not let your children look at Shifty Schiff. Soon his pal Smelly Swallow will be coming on. He's looking for a new Chinese communist spy to have as a mistress.
Swalwell.
Swallow was very disappointed when they took his Chinese girlfriend away from him because he hadn't given her all the secrets that he had yet.
Adam Schiff, comment below. Adam Schiff. When you think of Adam Schiff, what do you think of? Comment below with 1 to 3 words. When you think of Adam Schiff, what does he remind you of?
Boom.
So another edition of America's Mayor Live, the fastest hour on the internet. We're rolling right along, Mayor. And so, of course, everyone here should go to rudygiulianics.com. That's rudygiulianics.com. And Mayor, what does the CS stand for?
Common sense. Common sense.
So, Mayor, let's talk about a few headlines happening today in the news, if that's something we could do. We're here. So the Sam Bankman-Fried case, of course, he's still in the process of being extradited. Can you kind of discuss why that might take some time? And I know we've talked about that before, but why is that not something as simple as
because they have a hearing
plane
first in the court in their country or the country they're in, because the court has to assure itself that first that the treaty fits the laws that they have for extradition, and therefore some of them extradite only for certain kinds of crimes, not all crimes. A lot don't expedite for political crimes. Some don't expedite for economic crimes. Most do expedite for crimes of murder, however. And then they have a substantial amount of leeway to reduce the charges on technical issues that they can grasp, during the time of a campaign going on. So they're responsible in many ways for things like that. But the reality is that there's no doubt that this is going to be a very hot and nasty race. And although it has been civil up until now, let's find out when the first disagreement occurs. But right now, the Democrat Party is on hold because they're all waiting for Biden, whereas the Republican Party is in a state of some degree of turmoil because although the president said he's running again, he hasn't formally announced, and there are an awful lot of people with an awful lot of ambitions that have been thwarted for quite some time now, and they would like to see the old man move on.
Of course, that's something that people are obviously following closely. And as the new year is quickly approaching, Mayor, we're just down to the last few weeks of 2022. Hard to believe. So going into the new year, are you kind of express your level of confidence in the new House majority and their both appetite, their willingness, right, and their ability to continue this fight to uncover the truth and set things right on some of these injustices over the last few years when it comes to censorship, free speech, potential government involvement, collusion, you could say, between the permanent Washington political class and big tech to silence dissent. Are you confident this new House majority is willing and able to take on this fight?
I am. I think Congressman McCarthy has prepared well for this. I think he's put together a set of programs. They're coherent. He narrows them every day. He keeps repeating them. He keeps bringing more and more Republicans together to accomplish it. And there's nothing I've seen in his direction that indicates there's anything forced here or anything labored. It seems that this is coming out of his political thinking, which aligns with so many other Americans. I've been wrong before, but I don't think I'm wrong this time.
Okay, and of course, President Trump, who is running for a second term, of course, came out with a big announcement today. And he promised to take some big steps to combat big tech and what he views as inappropriate influence and a number of other things, Mayor. Any immediate reaction to the president's announcement today? And it may take some time to really read through and dissect what he's saying here. But he made some pretty big statements in that 6 to 7 minute video and some big promises. And here we're talking about someone who has definitely not just talked the talk, but walked the walk when taking on big fights on behalf of the American people. Any reaction from you, Mayor?
You okay, Ted? You okay? You feeling okay?
Yeah.
Because that statement was ludicrous. He takes on big fights for the American people. He takes on big fights for China. I can't think of a fight that he's had for the American people since the time he came into the White House. So
wait, President Trump?
I thought you were talking about President Biden.
Oh no, Mayor. President Trump today, right?
Right.
He came out with a video we watched together.
Right.
And he promised when reelected.
Oh, you're talking about his speech.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was like,
yeah,
if I ever talk like that.
I thought you were talking about Biden and his accomplishments. It isn't fair. It isn't. Then to switch gears. It isn't fair to compare actions and promises. It's much easier to promise than to act.
Sure.
So on the Biden side of the ledger, the answer to that is it's made easier by the fact that you're going to compare Trump's promises to accomplishments of zero.
Yeah.
In fact, much worse than that, accomplishments that made things much more difficult and much more likely to explode as a result of, and they did explode as a result of Biden's inaction, Biden's inexperience, and the total absolute lack of respect for Joe Biden. On the other hand, Trump maintained a pretty darn tight situation with regard to military action. He had to take it very infrequently. It was extraordinarily strong and decisive, led to no long-term problems for the country, brought justice for people who needed it. Two different sets of accomplishment from two different men. I mean, yeah, probably not fair to make the comparison to start with, because Trump is a man of normal and in fact strong intellect, and Biden is a man of no intellect. If that's possible to have no intellect, I wasn't sure that was true until I talked to him for 3 minutes and realized that there's an emptiness there that is profound. He's profoundly dumb.
Now let's set that record extremely straight, Mayor. You are absolutely correct in what you say about Mr. Biden. He's always carried water for China, going back to his support for these trade deals.
Now we're talking about Biden.
Yes, now we're talking about Biden.
Okay. Well, he should be carrying around pills.
Yes.
To put himself to sleep, calm himself down.
He will sell the American people for
a memory back.
For an extra $1, he would sell out the entire country.
He's been a very, very grave embarrassment for our country. The Russian invasion of Ukraine being the most prominent, which never would have happened had Trump been reelected and the American people hadn't made by a very, very slim margin, it appears, the terrible mistake of electing Biden.
Absolutely. That's right, Mayor. And as you had said, President Trump he fought for the American people and took on big fights. And so I think a lot of people were excited to see him in that President Trump now. People were excited to hear from him today. And that video where he laid out some tough actions he
Well,
would
it was
take.
an excellent speech. I would have to say it was one of his better speeches, and maybe the layoff was a good thing for President Trump. It got him a chance to relax a little. His voice was very, very strong, but more importantly, his explanations of what are in fact somewhat inherently difficult topics was very, very good. And
and this is coming from a lawyer.
One of his better speeches, I say.
And this is coming from a lawyer.
I would call one of his better speeches.
There you have it, folks. America's mayor himself. And I watched this video with him, and that is something the mayor had mentioned. He looked like he was right informed, right? He really looked. He looked like he was comfortable and delivering that speech with confidence. So, America's Mayor Live. Of course, you can catch the mayor weekdays at 3 p.m. at WABCRadio.com for his daily radio show on 77 WABC. That's from 3 to 4 p.m. every weekday.
Time for Christmas music.
And, of course, weeknights at 8 p.m. right here where you're watching America's Mayor Live.
Everyone has to get into the Christmas spirit. It's required. If you watch any of my shows, you understand that I am a Christmas nut. And we can't go far, that's for sure, without some degree of enjoyment of the Christmas season. We'll see what we have here. We'll come up with something really nice. Oh my goodness!
And
we played this the other night, but we'll play it again. Here it goes.
America's Mayor Live, and we're gonna have a special Christmas tune for everybody.
We played this the other night, as you know, and I did have somewhat of a breakdown, I'd say. We'll try something next now. Let's see what else we have here. Well, right now they have one song.
So someone here is saying, Mr. Mayor, Ted needs to sing one Christmas carol on the podcast, and it has to be a song of your choosing. I'm going to go ahead and flip that on you. I think I want our audience to let us know, what Christmas carol would you like to hear from the mayor? And maybe we'll have some backup singers with him.
It's essentially being a coward, right? But I'd have to say you're being a coward here. You flipped that very nicely. No one asked for me to sing.
Well, I think they're looking at it. They want to haze me a little. This isn't about hazing, guys. We want to look. There's one star of the show here. People are tuning in to hear from one person. And the mayor's got a voice. I have heard the mayor sing.
Be home for Christmas. If only in my dream. His life. It's probably his first Christmas away from home, his first Christmas away from the family, and probably a 17, 18-year-old. It's still a baby. And he's going to spend it with strangers, getting ready for a battle the next day. And it is the most beautiful, joyous holiday in the Christian world, to be exceeded only by Easter, the resurrection of Jesus. So I hope you're all getting ready for it. I hope you're getting ready for it according to your own traditions. This would be the last week before. This is the last week before Christmas, and it will go very, 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 very quickly. It will be on us in a moment, and it'll be over, and we will not have embraced it and taken from it all that it can give us. So give it time, concentrate on it, think about it, think about the story of Jesus and Mary, and they're bringing him into birth, and then traveling off to Egypt when their child is in jeopardy of being killed as the firstborn of Israel. It's a story of great events and of magnificence. It's a story of sorrow and sadness, but it's not just a story. It's a way of life that's gripped the whole world.
Well, so let's go there for a minute, Mayor. What advice, what words do you have for people who may be experiencing some sorrow, extreme sadness during this time of year? Of course, we all have fond memories of holidays, but some people are suffering or feeling down about something. Do you have any words for those people tonight?
You need to know they're suffering a little bit more. Maybe the thing to do is to pray for them and to pray that God brings them contentment and God brings them some resolution of the thing that's splitting them, and for them to step out of themselves and realize how fortunate they are to have minds and hearts and souls to be able to think of things like this. There really has been throughout the course of the last 30 years, or more than that, 40 years, an attempt to debase our morality and our culture. And it's been done both symbolically, burning of statues, tearing down names of people who are associated with slavery. This will only reach a logical conclusion and an apex when the Democrat Party has the courage to acknowledge that they are 53% or more in terms of a lot of these registrations. So they are a minority voter that challenges the Hispanic vote as the largest minority voter, and the Hispanic vote is the vote that's growing.
That's right. That's right. So moving along, the fastest hour on the internet, please visit rudygiulianics.com. That's rudygiulianics.com to view all of his podcasts, some real big podcasts recently, including a discussion with President Trump's campaign attorney, Christina Bobb, who is also right now in Arizona, taking on a major fight in that state, and you can go to rudygiulianics.com to learn more about that. So, Mayor, rolling along here in the fastest hour on the internet, next year the Democrats will have control of the Senate. However, we've seen another defection in Kyrsten Sinema. Joe Manchin hasn't said anything yet. It does appear that he's going to stay as a Democrat. But does that shift by Sinema change the dynamics in the Senate?
Oh, look, doesn't change it as much as you would like, because I'd be overstating it if I said she was caucusing with the Democrats. She apparently has not made that decision up, but she is accepting the continuation of her sitting positions in the Senate based on her seniority. Had she made a switch to the Republican Party, the threat was that she'd go down to the bottom of the list on seniority, and she would lose either chairmanships that she's already gotten or ones that she's entitled to. I'd say to her, forget it, stuff it, don't worry about it. They don't do a damn thing anyway. Being a member of a small group of Republicans, Democrats who have conservative values ultimately will have more of an impact on this country than Fred, you're collecting your food so you don't starve, and I have to resuscitate you. Do you all know what resuscitate means? It means bringing Ted back to life.
I'm looking at a comment, reading our comment section, looking to see what folks are talking about tonight. And any questions that folks may have. Good evening from Toronto, David says.
Good evening to Toronto.
That's Toronto, Canada. Have you been to Toronto?
I have.
A lot of people make comparisons. Look, there's no city like New York. But they say if there's a second city in North America behind New York, many people say Chicago. I gotta show the mayor what he's doing as I talk about other cities.
What are you saying?
So they're saying, look, there's no place like
I just want to make sure my letter
York. However, Mayor,
do you know in the great Italian opera Tosca by Giacomo Puccini, the beautiful Floria Tosca, a lovely, gorgeous, and somewhat delicate soprano, kills her rapist with a beautiful, beautiful Neapolitan. This is a Crusaders, right?
Those letter openers they really are kind of like mini swords.
Yeah,
but they're not usually super sharp, right? They're pointy, but not sharp.
You have to, for my sake and for your own, you have to do yourself a favor and listen to, and maybe if you continue watching the show, I will guide you through one. And that is if I can find one of these silly things that.
This is a different guy, but I think it's never. Every once in a while, I want people to.
Opera.
Wait, hold that up.
You want to see the greatest tenor?
Hold that up again, so people. I got to zoom in so they can see because you wrote it in red, Mayor. In red sometimes. Hold that up though. I'll zoom in so they can see the sign. Okay. There it is. The opera, and now.
You want to see the greatest tenor in the history of the world?
You got to hold that up and keep it up, kind of by your face there. Yeah. Hold that there. And hold it right there and kind of describe this picture in 30 seconds.
That is Luciano Pavarotti, who is now deceased. He was for quite some time the greatest tenor in the world. Sang all manner of very difficult parts. This was in a role in an opera by Giuseppe Verdi called, I guess, the Miller, and it's not a very, very famous opera, but he made it that way. He made it a great opera, and he was a very unusual man.
Who is that?
This is Luciano Pavarotti, who I think most people are going to know him as one of the three tenors who became very famous with a recording they released in the late 80s, early 90s. Luciano Pavarotti, Placido Domingo, and Jose Carreras. And this was a Saturday afternoon broadcast at the Metropolitan Opera.
About what year?
And at
people
the end, I'd say 19.
You were mayor.
No, it's before 1991, 92. It'd be in that period of time. And, he's looking kind of pale and he isn't looking well here. Now, he died many years after this. He died at least 15 years after that Louisa Miller broadcast. And he had many great performances after that. But, I'm in New York. You're probably in all different parts of the world. And it's been very, very strange in New York. And the weather outside, nice, delightful. You know that one. Well, it's getting cold.
The fire inside is delightful.
Yeah, we're going to put our fire on next week. We're going to Ted and I are going to spend the weekend becoming even more technologically ingenious
Let's see if we can.
than we are. And next week we will have a fire for you, hopefully not burning down beautiful place that I live in, because my neighbors would not like that if they did that, nor would I. But we'll be very careful when we do it. There'll be many objections to it from friends and neighbors, but we're going to try it, right? We're going to work on it this weekend.
Fireplace?
Fireside chat by the mayor. How about that?
We have a live look at the
Why don't
fireplace.
we do it? Why don't we do it as a birthday gift for Joe Biden? Since Joe Biden never ever, Joe Biden remembers seeing Franklin Roosevelt read the funny papers to the children on television in front of the fireplace. Now, here's the problem with that. He's got most of it right, Ted. And I think it's really unfair the way they criticize poor Joe.
What's that?
Well, I imagine there are a lot of firehouses in the White House. He sat in front of the firehouses. I think I have no reason not to believe that he read the funny papers. I can't imagine he didn't read them to his grandchildren. In those days, everybody did. And I'm sure he read them very well. He was a very, very well-educated and intelligent man, unlike our current president. However, here's a big problem we're going to have to get over here. You and I are going to have to figure this out, because I like analyzing problems with Ted because he's very smart. There was no television when Franklin Roosevelt was alive. He had as good a chance of seeing Franklin Roosevelt on television reading the funny papers as Abraham Lincoln. So is this
maybe black and white?
Is this a function? Is this a function of Joe being senile? I would say 100% not standing by itself. Oh, now you're looking at me funny. You got that?
There's a chance he's just flat out lying.
Next week we're going to have our two.
I'm going to be on the camera.
This when his plastic surgery.
Yeah.
Well, he had to have a few.
The mayor always would tell me I got a face for radio, and I'm like, gee, what a compliment! I kept thinking that's great. Then I thought about it.
Well, I consider Ted like another son. I do. I'm starting to feel for him like another son, like Andrew. And I'm going to tell I'm going to tell Fred I would not put him through anything I hadn't been through before I was on television at all. My face was here. So I went to Nancy Pelosi's doctor, who has more body parts than any doctor in Hollywood, and he was able to move my face here. Now, occasionally it goes like this, but I did not suffer from the stitchers that was so tight around the mouth that I couldn't talk like Nancy Pelosi. No, I will not. When Obamacare passed, how could you expect us to read the bill? It was over 1,000 pages. We'll read the bill after it passes. Nancy, it works the other way around. I don't want to shake things up for you too much, hon, but you read the bill before it passes. Well, what a spoil sport you are, Giuliani.
I have a feeling Nancy Pelosi was a big Rudy Giuliani fan.
You must come from one of those very strict Italian-American families. I came from one of those Italian-American families where my father was the mayor of Baltimore. Get what I mean?
Have you met Nancy Pelosi?
I have said nothing.
Well, I don't even want to get into the whole update on that case in San Francisco.
May I offer something, and we're going to try to stick to it. But I have to say this aloud so that Ted remembers, because Ted is very, very good at remembering. That's why he's a Republican. He's got an elephant mind. Next week, we're going to introduce, just for the week, and we'll go for 2 weeks, leading up to New Year's, we're going to introduce more humor. So we have a little more fun. Doesn't mean we're not going to cover the tough stories. Doesn't mean we're not going to cover that. We're going to cover those tough. We're going to cover those tough stories, but we're going to introduce a little bit more. We'll have a little more fun, particularly with Christmas coming along, and we'll have good, clean, no dirty stuff. we'll have good, clean fun. Because we're Republicans, we're not Democrats. Democrats are, well, they have a considerably larger population of perverts. There's no question about it.
And I like to think, Mayor, good, clean, fun, those sorts of jokes takes a little bit more wit to come up with those sorts of jokes.
Oh, you mean we're more intelligent than Democrats?
Yeah.
Of course we are. Anybody doubt it?
But it takes, crude humor is often very, low bar, easy. And look, we can do that all day. Don't get me wrong, we could do that all day.
Name for me one city in the last 30 years that they've really run well. Name for me a great mayor who really did a great job fixing his city.
Let's think about that. What are some of the bigger mayors?
Name for me ones that ruin their city and are looking at crime rates where their citizens are getting killed as if it's
Bowser, Lightfoot.
Is that her name?
Lori Lightfoot. You can't make that up.
I swear to God. You think I'm getting like Biden? I keep thinking her name is Lighthead.
I mean, based off of her policies, Mayor.
You have a governor. I can't, for the life of me, get what's his name right.
Whitmer, Governor Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan, who cruised to re-election. We had a very good candidate, I felt. How do you feel about that, Mayor? Do you feel that oftentimes it's members of our own party that hurt our own candidates when they're the ones questioning so-and-so, oh, they're a weak candidate. We need to put other better candidates up. Oftentimes it's coming from our own side, right?
I'm thinking about this. I think this is a very, very difficult question to answer and know if you're answering it right, because you would tend to see this fault in your own political party more than you would the other. So I try very hard to think of it in kind of a disciplined way.
Sure.
I think we do. I think we're much more critical of our own members than they are. I think there's a good and a bad reason for it.
Okay.
I think the good reason for it is I do believe, and of course people can say I'm biased here, that we have more integrity than they do. And we demand more of our performance and what we're doing, and we believe in things. And sometimes we don't believe in the same things. Because we believe it strongly and we get very passionate about it. And because we have to pretend at times to all agree, it creates a tension and anger. We don't handle it well. We used to handle it really well with Ronald Reagan, because Ronald Reagan had I have to get. See, this is falling apart on me. It really is very, very sad. It's very, very, very sad when my markers fall apart on me, because
these are whiteboards.
I'm living for these markers.
The mayor has.
I asked Santa Claus for like a whiteboard, but maybe a television type whiteboard we could put here. We could do some illustrations on it. We've done a couple of very successful ones, Ted and I have, with the podcast that people have written to us very nicely about. So I'm not sure I'm getting it, because I haven't actually been. Well, I haven't been like 100% this year. But Ronald Reagan used to say, my 80% friend, all right, is not my 20% enemy.
Okay, you want to use a bigger one next time.
See, my 80% friend.
All right, hold that up. I'm going to zoom in so people can see it.
My 80% friend is not my 20% enemy, which means if Ted and I, who are friends, if we agree on 8 out of 10 things, come on, what do you expect? I added a little wrinkle on my own to that when I was running for office. I used to say, come on, let's face it, don't get too strict about this. I don't agree with myself 100% of the time. Now think about that. That's not so funny. That's like the Yogi Berra statement. It sounds funny and kind of silly at first until you think about it. How many times do you change your mind? And most of the time, take it out of politics where there's always the opportunistic change of mind. We change our minds normally, honestly, and naturally, right? We find out something new and we change our minds, right? We meet somebody. They're very, very nice. We like them. They're nice people. Then 2 days later, we find out they're a mass murderer. We change our minds, right? So, but when people in politics change their minds, because politicians have the reputation of being lying slime, right? It's always opportunistic. So, RNC fundraising cash, where did it go? Rona, where is the dough? Rona, where is the dough?
So
Man, do I have an interesting, am I involved in that one, baby?
So the mayor just saw a story.
Rona, the loser, who has lost election after election for us, after Trump won the first one, had raised like 200 million for the defense of Donald Trump, and I don't know. I saw a few pennies of that for me and my lawyers, but I think it was pretty much penny.
Talking about Broadway shows and
yeah, that really defended
concerts.
The Broadway shows really helped defend Trump.
Oh yeah, that money sure.
Rona, what happened to the dough, baby?
So Mayor, this might be something we look into in tomorrow's night's show. It is quite something, and it's something.
I got a lot of people that work with me, and they ain't too happy about that, man. They ain't too happy about that.
I have some reading to do tonight because it's pretty important. It's something in politics. Another thing you deal in politics, right? Grifters, right? That's something that's been a part of American politics since the beginning, and it's just sad to see people that get into this, right, for the wrong reasons, right? There's a lot of good. That's the other thing. There's a lot of good people in politics, passionate people that want to make a difference, but their reputation and the industry as a whole is sullied and spoiled by these
bad. My fault. Bad throw.
You didn't see where that throw went, but it missed the target.
Yeah. I know. Lucky at paper.
People that are in it for the wrong reasons. There is money in politics, and unfortunately, this we may have another example on our hands where people that give money, right, donors of all sizes, whether you're giving $10 or 100,000. People are right, they deserve to know where their money is being spent and if it's being wasted. And especially when it's something as important as this, Mayor, it certainly would be disappointing if we find out that money people are sending to fight for this cause are being wasted and used on personal, to enrich individuals the wrong way. Look, if you're good at what you do, you should make a good living. That's capitalism. But the idea that people are getting rich off of money that should be going towards the fight, it's almost similar to what we see in Ukraine, right? It's almost as corrupt as when when Ukraine. I don't want to go there.
No, go ahead, please. You're doing well.
Okay, well, thank you, Mayor. It's like Ukraine, right? We send them hundreds of billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars, probably going to reach the hundreds of billions, and we're told, and people. The taxpayers, we are sold this bill of goods, basically. We're told this money is being used to defend democracy. We have to have this fight here. We have to keep sending the money. And we come to find out, and you know this more than anybody from consulting your previous experiences, how much of American foreign aid is just stolen, flat out taken.
Well, there's a report. I was trying to put my hands on it, but I won't have the time in the few minutes we have left. There's a podcast that I did, would be in the early to mid 2020s. And it's about over $5 billion that was discovered in a report done by an independent auditing firm of Ukraine. Here's one thing you don't want to do if you should ever become president of Ukraine. Don't have an independent audit. Well, they had an independent audit, and there was five I wish
not
I
even
had-
funny.
I have it here, right? You know when you have things
What are you looking
right
for? I'll look.
near you.
What are you looking for?
Just my. Do I have my iPad here? Well, this particular episode of Rudy Giuliani's Common Sense lays out in I think better detail than usual the fact that this money's missing. Yes, it's absolutely missing. And the money is. Let me say it one more time. The money is $5 billion is missing. So this is a good story for the Tales of Ukraine, which will be.
We really do. You had to do a whole documentary on that alone.
No, we're going to do the Tales of Ukraine. Like they used to have those radio shows at night. We'll have like an eerie music.
We
the
could do
Tales of Ukraine.
We could just do it. Spend
How
a week.
money.
We could spend a week of shows.
How money disappears and you never see it again. So this.
I guarantee today they're asking for money from someone. I guarantee I could look it up, and Ukraine's asking for money from a handout, and it needs to be now, right? You can't wait. You can't question it. You got to give it now.
But the truth is that this is right now is a very difficult. This is a very difficult situation. I believe that I am one of these people, and this is not out of politics. This is out of conviction and knowledge. I'm on both sides of this question in the sense that I do believe they need the aid. I do believe they need the help. I do believe they've been victimized by a madman, Putin, in the way he went about this war. On the second part of it, however, is I do not in a million years believe that they used all the money on the war.
Yeah.
It would have been a major revolution in Ukraine if $100 million is walking in there and the oligarchs aren't picking up some of it.
And I just want to clarify quickly, when you say you're on both sides of this, you mean you're on both sides of the question of how much aid should we as Americans be giving to Ukraine? I want to clarify.
I'm on one. I guess a better way to say that would be I'm on the side of scrutinizing the money.
Yeah, that's what we
and setting up here. And here's the word that fits: accountability. Accountability.
Transparency. What is a big part of getting to?
Well, here's a great example of Biden doublespeak, Orwellian Biden doublespeak. And I want all of my people, even if you're not my people, but you're thinking of becoming my people. I want you to engage in an exercise. I want you to collect Biden doublespeak. You'll have a book after a while. It'll be a good one. Here's the Biden doublespeak. The other day, when they were criticizing the $250,000 or whatever paid for the Hunter Biden piece of crap that was sold, where he vomits on the
world-class painting that went for $225,000.
I think it was Jean-Pierre said, we're absolutely transparent. Transparent, Jean-Pierre means you give out all the facts, you withhold nothing. You don't tell us who bought it. It's just the opposite of transparent. You cover up. Opposite of being transparent is covering up. Now, how do you get away with this? Or number two liar in chief, Mayorkas. The border's secure. Meanwhile, right behind them, there are 4,500 people running over the border, knocking over agents, killing babies.
It's like, what is this?
The border is secure.
Literally, it's like they're making fun of us. Like they're rubbing in our faces that we can do this and you can't do anything about it.
There's no crime. I mean, after all, this was a good weekend in Chicago. Only 25 children were killed this weekend. Come on, it used to be 40. It was a good weekend. If the Republicans would just stop making up crimes, we would have 45 murders a weekend. I mean, this is unbelievable. They are just the opposite of transparent. Just the opposite, the totally opposite of transparent. And I'm telling you, this is outrageous. It is if there isn't transparency in government, you don't have a democracy, because the public can only make correct decisions based upon having correct information.
I want to give some Americans the benefit of the doubt, Mayor, in that it just seems so unbelievable, right? That these people are stealing and committing fraud against the American people to the degree that they are. That it seems to a good, hardworking American in Bay City, Michigan, right? To them, it just seems like so out of bounds, and there's no way they could do this. And if they did, others would have, they'd be caught because we have law and order in this country.
You mean the two systems? The two systems of justice?
The two-tier justice system, of course. And they like to make it about race, right? They say the two-tier justice system.
The two-tier justice system is Hunter Biden gets away with murder, not murder, but almost anything else but murder.
I mean, that painting was murder. Talking about crimes, that painting was a crime.
Republicans go to jail for nothing, including things that are made up. And that is not, I'm having some fun tonight, but that is not a joke.
Not just Republicans, Mayor. I want to make a point. These conservatives, right? People that are willing to speak the truth. I don't even know how much of this is partisan, left versus right, as it is people such as yourself. And I know you don't want to make this about you, but people such as yourself who have the courage and the backbone to stand up for what's right. It's not about partisan politics for you. These people will do everything and anything, not just to take down someone who's willing to speak up, but set an example, make an example out of them. So they want to make a point.
It's hard to say this about yourself, and I'm not seeking pity of any kind. I chose this, and I knew. Can't say I knew all the consequences. They are worse than I thought by a lot, but they are in the ballpark of what I thought. But what they do to the people that oppose them is undemocratic. It's inhumane. It's indecent. It's illegal, and it's mean. It's positively cruel. You
can just feel the nastiness and the hate from some of these people. And it says a lot more about them. And by the way, Mayor, these are not impressive people. I'm just not impressed by these people. They call themselves the so-called elite, right? The permanent Washington political class. Yeah, these are not intellectually curious people.
I would say that's right. They are not impressive. They are not impressive people in any manner of speaking. They are, in fact, despicable human beings. Despicable human beings.
And you've been around a lot of different kinds of people. Obviously, your storied career going back decades as a prosecutor, as mayor. You've seen. I mean, look, no one's seen it all, but you've seen quite a bit. And so I know a lot of the viewers probably feel this way too. Sometimes I don't know how you keep it all together, knowing what you know, having faced what you faced, and you have a deep understanding of what's going on, and it's not good, right? It's not good.
Here we go. I was looking for this.
Sure.
I know you saw me distracted, and I apologize for that. But I do want you to see this, because this this is a very, very meaningful podcast. Some are more important than others. This was done in 2020, and you can. And we'll review some of this with you tomorrow night. I think
you have another night tomorrow.
Yes, I keep thinking vaguely that this is Friday, but good news is we got one more night, and maybe tomorrow night we'll pull a few of these out in here. There's a podcast. That's Ukraine right there, and look, we're going to see some of it here, but we don't want to see some of it But I mean, the reality is that what this podcast is about is $5.3 billion, $5.3 billion that is unaccounted for. It was given to Ukraine. Ukraine cannot find it. 3 billion of the 5.3 comes from the United States. And of course, it's more complicated than I'm about to describe it, but this is a fair description of it. Most of it gets lost in not-for-profits. Large number of those not-for-profits are run by one George Soros. Need I say more? Need I say more? Yes, I do need to say more, and we will. Tomorrow night when you come back, we'll review a little of that podcast. And if you want to get into it a bit, you go to rudygiulianics.com and you go to episode number 52.
It's our purpose to
Might as well listen to this when we got it up.
Common sense and rational discussion to the issues.
This used to be our opening. What do you think? We should. We're going to restore some of this, right?
Tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought us to the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained by rational principles the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the powerful Kingdom of England and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and he explained it in ways that were understandable to people, to all of them.
We're running out of time tonight.
A great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we are able to reason. We're able to.
But I do think Ted and I and Dr. Maria, who is the producer of these here, I think we've made the decision we're going to restore some of that, maybe a little more modern form. Here's Common Sense, by the way. I take it out to show you how short it is. Worth several, worth of reading once every year and a half. It does sort of give you the raison d'etre for our great country. Very important that you read, and I say that now more than anything else. It's how you're going to save your country. I know people think we're going to save it with guns, and no, we're going to save it by reading, by having strong, independent-minded people who can reason their way to correct decisions, even to correct arguments, meaning correct useful disagreements. So thank you very, very much. We went over a little overtime tonight. It is a Friday night, and I know you probably all have lots of things to do. But and therefore listening to us, to me, is really very, 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 very humbling. But I know we're on the same page. You want to save this country, and that's what I'm striving for. That's what you're striving for, and all of you who are, listen in, maybe because we can give each other ideas. We've got lots of things that are going to happen where we're going to grow. Starting now, as we go into the new year, we're going to have my Christmas present. I told you, our board, where we can show you more things. We're going to have more people involved who can debate and have points of view. We're going to introduce humor, maybe a little slapstick even. I might possibly do some of my imitations for you or my acting roles.
Yes, we will be definitely pulling those out.
Just because I'm a frustrated actor, and it'll be an opportunity for me to do that, and we'll spend some time on his history, so we know the rationale for the things that are happening. We can make independent decisions. Now, you have a really, really good weekend. It's a weekend that's leading up to Christmas. It's the really last full weekend that you have to shop for Christmas, because next week, Sunday, is Christmas, and New Year's Eve is Well, I'm gonna tell you a secret. New Year's Eve is an easy night to shop. Nobody goes shopping on New Year's Eve because they're all smart enough to get their gifts beforehand. And I always found I could find some really good stuff on Christmas Eve, but my mother always got angry at me when I did that. So I did it secretly and quietly. I wasn't transparent about it. But we'll be back. We'll be back on Monday, and we will be
Tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow night.
Oh, you see, I keep thinking it's weekend. It's not because I want it to be. It's because of, well, it's really because of the hearings that went on this week.
Yeah.
Through my whole week off.
When you have something that lasts from Monday to Thursday, I've had this happen too, Mayor.
Yeah.
It sets you up for Thursday being the end of the week. One more day, so we'll be back tomorrow night.
Yeah, and then this is why we give you a little preview of uncovering the truth. Maybe the show I look forward to the most because I think Dr. Ryan adds something very special to it. So we're back tomorrow night here. We'll be on WABC. We had a really good show today on WABC. I hope you can tune in tomorrow between 3 and 4. You can get it anywhere in the world at WABCradio.com. WABCradio.com. Thank you. Good night, and God bless the United States of America.